Ladies and gentlemen of the crypto space, I didn't check my audio before I started. Double check. 1, 2. I got this covered. 1 second. There we go. There we go. Noah check. Noah check. We are good to go. Welcome. 11:56 Monday afternoon, August 31st, the end of the month, the beginning of the month. Doesn't matter which way you look at it. Either way, the times are changing. Crazy stuff's going on, and we got stuff we need to look at to understand what is going on to better position ourselves for success, take care and do the right thing, the best thing, given, the craziness. Captain Weber's in the house. Yes. Did you bite or just nibble? Always a pleasure. Stuff. Craig, I got the crew. Ladies and gentlemen of the crypto space, I hereby announce yo, yo, yo. Well, I got a lot of content lined up today. We got to talk about it. Let's flip it over to the main screen because top 10 is getting shaken up. And that was over the weekend. And then if you combine that with what I'm seeing Monday, in the legacy deprecated markets, yeah, we got an interesting story. Let's do it. So let's go over to the stock market. So the stock market actually shows signs of rationality. Guys, this is normal. It's supposed to go up and down. It's like, whoa, it's down 200 points. That's crazy. Yeah, you guys are a bunch of schmucks in the legacy financial system. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't see anything else interesting in the news, really. Yeah, well, actually, this is ridiculously interesting. Apologies. Amazon with their FAA approval for drone delivery. Yeah, anyone ever see Ready Player One? There's going to be drones everywhere. That shit is crazy. And that's cool tech. I don't see anything like, I don't see negatives to this. This is crazy. This is going to improve efficiency. It's part of the robotics of the next decade, meaning this is going to displace jobs all over the place. It's going to displace, relatively uneducated positions, um, because by the last mile is the most. So when you're transporting stuff around the country, the last mile. The route comes with the big 18 wheeler to a town, and then the town distributes to the smaller trucks and starts to spread out. And you can think of the web of streets through a town. That's the most expensive part of the delivery process, where the person in the delivery truck is actually taking the package to the door. So the whole goal of the entire system is where the truck goes to a town, and then out of the top of the truck goes 1,000 drones and distributes to the people the last mile. So this is going to change everything over the next 10 years. There's going to be very little uh, human resources required for the last mile of delivery, replaced by 24/7 robotics. So it's this is part of the fact that things are changing permanently. And this was expected prior to the pandemic. There's no way this is because of it. If anything, the pandemic accelerated this change. And then, I'm almost at the point where this pandemic is annoying to talk about. It's just frustrating. I'm tired of this right versus left stuff. I'm tired of it. Nobody wants to get along. Can't we all just talk? Anyone who ever wants to talk about anything, just bring it up in the channel. I know it's a crypto channel, and I'm about to have my 4 or 5 minute rant to start the stream. But if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to talk about it. I don't care what it is, and the odds are I'm going to agree with you because I agree with rationality, logic, and reason. And there's rationality, logic, and reason on both sides. The thing that I don't like is when people are crazy. That's all I don't like. Crazy means irrational. Crazy means it doesn't make sense. Crazy means it's not good. Maybe it's financially bad, or it's just not, good for human beings. So I'm a human being. Anyway, whatever. That was a serious digression. FAA should have shafted the hobbyist drone pilots. I guarantee Amazon influenced that, right? You remember those hobbyist drone pilots? I used to build cars when I was a kid. Those are the good old days. The FAA probably, in order to do this, they're going to need much more control, rules, and regulations over the sky. No doubt. Well said, Craig. Have you looked at Icon X? I've had a bag of 1,000 ICX for like 3 years now. I have not looked at it. I hear it's probably doing good, given that they have Band integrated, and Band is integrated with what, Binance Chain, whatever. Binance Chain. Two words that make me laugh. um, Paul says, from Berlin, my man. I should have reminded you about the ERC20 and Aave. What the hell was I thinking? So Aave, do I have it up? Yeah. Okay, so Aave is going to break down at some point. You got lower highs. The guppies just turned red on the hourly, and we breached the lower lows. But I'm not too. This is not too much lower lows, and this is not. This is kind of within a range that I would consider not a breakdown at all, particularly because it's getting pinched between the 200 EMA and the hourly and the support line. So I think this is going to range a little bit until it probably gets over to here. Probably over here. And then boom. At some point it should break the 200 EMA to the downside. But I mean, look at all this support over here. There's a lot of support down at the 4600 range. Then we take a price range, and let's take it from the 200 EMA. oh, you see? So this is why you're probably not going to want to. I wouldn't. Look at that, scary. 25% rip to the downside. But this is where you get a good entry. If this falls and bounces off this as support, this is support, then that's cool. Then you want to I'd probably get a little bit right about here. I'd wait for a trend formation and wait for a breakout. I like breakouts. I'm a breakout trader. That's probably by definition what folks would call me. I wait for a sim triangle, an ascending triangle, and then, much like what's going on with Bancor, because Bancor is still in this massive sim triangle. And frankly, Kyber, this is an even larger formation. And this is pretty good. So I don't have a Kyber position right now because you can't own everything. As I say, which means if I had to choose between Bancor and Kyber, I think there's more potential for Bancor in the short term, because even though Kyber has ridiculous tokenomics, it's accelerating deflationary, incentivized the supply disruption. The burn component's just brilliant tokenomics. It's already 300 and change million market cap. Not that that's high. There's no look. Aave's in the billions. When are we going to get an AMM, automated market maker, into the $1 billion market cap range? So Bancor is 120 mil, give or take, which means it has 2 to 3x just to catch up to Kyber. Yet alone, Bancor did not release its governance. It's obviously Bancor is going to be the Gov token, just like Kyber. So it has similar feel to Kyber with regard to that. I look forward to seeing what Bancor comes out with for its governance platform, how it incentivizes a liquidity, and frankly the V2. So I'm more bullish about Bancor than Kyber. Albeit it's a little speculative in that there's unknowns because Kyber is deployed. So I usually wait for an asset to be deployed before taking a position. I tend to avoid speculation. But in this regard, Bancor is interesting because it has history. It was released in 2017 as the first AMM. So there's so many interesting things that come to mind because I avoid speculative positions, but Bancor is no doubt substantially less speculative than countless things that are trying to make a name for itself in this current market. All this stuff going on in DeFi, all this craziness, these forks and pizza tokens and creamsicles and all this garbage. And it has 2017 ICOs written all over it to me. Now, I don't have interest in it. What I have interest in is a real system that's being built that is so totally disruptive of the legacy financial system. And these AMMs are absolutely a critical component of it. And Bancor is the first AMM. Now Kyber is going to be there, and I think all of them are going to be there. Now, interestingly enough, I don't know what the heck's going to happen with Uniswap. Uniswap doesn't have an asset. It's a platform that I mean, it obviously fits into the big picture, but I don't think it fits into the big picture as much as it does currently. So right now, it's obviously very skewed towards Uniswap. Let's see if it ever loads. So this is 70% Uniswap skew. So that's clearly imbalanced. But, where's Curve on here? Curve is blue. I mean, Curve, there's much more. I guess that's Yearn Finance, and a bunch of the other stuff. They're taking the Uniswap token. So I guess it is heavily incentivized to provide liquidity to Uniswap. But what's interesting is it's not Uniswap that's incentivizing its own liquidity. It's actually other assets. They're incentivizing the providing of liquidity to Uniswap. So Uniswap is somewhat artificially inflated. I guess that's maybe a way to say it. It's not self-incentivized. It's externally being incentivized by other assets, which is kind of weird. All right, I totally I missed a bunch of things in the chat. What am I missing? Cal says, I sold my Bancor. Is Bancor a must-have, one of the ones we must have in our bag? No. Maybe. No. Listen, you know what? Here, this is what the stream was about. Let's go back to the intro. Top 10 crypto shakeup. This is what you must have in your bag. You must have. So here, I'll dive in. You must have Bitcoin. Now, do you must have Ethereum? That's a great question. So for me, right now, I'm leaning towards no. Now, a lot of the Ethereum folks, the DeFi folks, now I understand and I agree with them that the Ethereum could probably rip harder than Bitcoin. But I'm also of the thought that there's other assets that are going to rip harder than Ethereum. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum could easily pull a 10x. No reason Ethereum can't be $4,000. I mean, the market that is created is just going to disrupt legacy finance at some point or another. And it's going to be totally related to Polkadot and Cosmos. And that's basically half the stuff I got up here. I got Subscan up, I got Staffy, Edgeware, Akala, Plasm. And this is just crazy what's going on in Polkadot. And they don't even have parachains subscriptions yet. And they've built so much. How are other projects like Tezos, Elrond, and Cardano going to compete with something that's already out the door? It's already out the door. The first mover advantage is everything. I mean, look at this first mover advantage. It's just epic. It's over 4 times the size of the second largest asset, merely because it was first mover, not because it's technologically superior. Crazy. First mover advantage is everything. First mover advantage. Say that 5 times fast. Any chance you have DigiGraph open on a tab? Let's do DigiByte. Boop, boop, boop. Let's see how Digi's doing. Last I saw, it was bouncing off previous resistance flip support, which is what we want to see. Boop, boop, boop. Bittrex, is that where I had my chart? Yeah. Oh, how do you like them apples? Greg's going to be like, holy crap. Look at that. It fell. This is crazy. Guys, this is a crazy chart. Do you get... Someone say this is crazy alongside me, man. Does anyone see what I'm seeing? So this thing is in a multi-month sim triangle. Had a little sneak peek breakout. Had a second relatively large sneak peek breakout of 50%, give or take. 200, 300, something like that. It fell back into the sim triangle, and it held previous support. And previous resistance. Okay, I can't. I'm getting. Do you see this? Who else sees this? Oh my God! Previous resistance and previous. It literally, it's like it's kind of like just ignore it. So basically, this is what happened. Based on the current price action, just ignore anything that happened here and follow the sim triangle. It basically fell back right into the sim triangle. And what's absolutely crazy about this, where's the top? I gotta color this stuff different. Let's get rid of you. Oh, get rid of you. Okay. Bye bye. Okay. Let's get rid of you. Boop. Okay. So just follow the sim triangle. It's bouncing off support. This is crazy. And the fact is, it's so pinched because this is multi-month. This is one of the largest sim triangles in the crypto space other than Cosmos and Bitcoin. So this is where we are. That's all I have to say at this point. I don't see any reason why this is going to break down. This is coming off a very large rip to the upside. 55 to 150, that's a 300% rip. So that's a big deal. Anyway, there you go, stuff. That's what's going on with Digi. I was asking about the fact that you once said there's nothing special about an ERC20 and that Avi is an ERC20. Oh, well, an ERC20 is here. This is all that's interesting about an ERC20. It's a fungible token. You got 721s that are non-fungible. Fungible basically means it can be broken down into discrete components, smaller components. Um, I don't remember the context with what I in which I was speaking, but that's what's most pertinent. Fungibility, supply, the monetary properties, inflationary, deflationary. Now, Jared Tate always makes a great point about the fair distribution, and the mints are clearly not a fair distribution as compared to a proof of work blockchain where there's a great deal of distribution. And the original minters of ERC20s, uh, which have very meaningful projects. These projects are profound and disruptive and transformative and incredible technology. But Jared makes a great point. It's not 100% fair distribution. It's more like a business, more like an offering, an IPO. And that's really what it is. It's a fund raise. They're raising funds to build a business. So in that regard, that's historically what companies have done. So I don't I wouldn't say that it's a bad thing. What I say is that it's more of a business, and there's nothing wrong with a crypto project being operated like a business. What we have to have, just like with a business, is trust. And that's the same thing with any business listed on the stock market. You have to have trust that the proper decisions are being made. So that does deviate from the original intent, or at least the intent that Jared likes to point out with regard to true decentralization and getting away from all the powers that be and centralized control. And I'm all for that. I love that, which is exactly why I love Digibyte, which is why this chart is so damn incredible. I don't see how this chart is not going to rip to the upside. Come on, guys. It's so going to rip to the upside at some point. And before you know it, it's going to be at 1,000. It's going to pull another 300%. And people are going to be like, whoa, what happened? All right. What am I missing in the chat? Hello from Ireland, man. Felipe in the house. Always a pleasure. Yes. Hi, daughter. Luisa, 6 years old, tuned into the stream as well. Thank you. Welcome. Anything on your mind, I'm happy to explain it. It doesn't matter what it is. I will explain it. I'll talk about Paw Patrol. I'll talk about Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. I'm just saying. It's all good. Blocknet CEO says that Avalanche, AVAX, will change everything in the crypto space. Whatever anyone says, I always investigate. But if someone from Blocknet is saying something, I would listen. I don't know what it is, this Avalanche, but I would listen. They're very smart, and they built a serious piece of technology. Their platform is not to be dismissed as just another piece of tech. Captain Weber, have you looked at eyes? I think maybe I missed it, but you're asking again. Do you want me to look at eyes? Is it 10x? Did it pull a 10x? Let me look at my balance. So I've had 1,000 ICX in around for since it was. No, it's nothing special. I mean, it's done nicely. Yeah, ICX is basically Korean Ethereum. At least that's the way it's been thought of for a long time in the most stereotypical way possible. There's no reason not to have a little bag of ICX on a moon mission. I like ICX, always did. And government was always supportive of it, and frankly, all these governments around the world are going to need a Hail Mary at some point with the financial disaster that they've built. Absolute disaster that they have brewing globally. No one country is particularly at fault. You know what? Frankly, all countries are at fault because they all played into the same game of debt, and the euro dollars and all this shadow banking and all this debt, and all this dollar denominated debt. And now they're like, oh, everything's deflating. All the debt's going to come deflating and crashing down, and they're all worried. Are they so stupid they didn't see this happening? And of course they didn't prepare. This is like the worst. The globe right now is like the worst teenager possible. It's like, I didn't know I had to pay back my credit card. It's literally like the worst teenager you could possibly imagine. Like a teenager that has like $30,000 on a credit card and is getting collection calls every day. That's what the world is right now. If you ain't buying the dip, you must be chipping. Craig says, is this a dip? Is that? I mean, this looks good, man. This is a sim triangle. Look how many hits on this sim triangle for Bancor. I mean, it's not so clean back here in the earlier time frames, but this is large. This is a large opening. The breadth of this opening, open to the triangle, coming off 1,000% gains. That's serious. And there's, I would say, let's say there's about 3 hits on the bottom and 4 hits on top. Now, the reason I say that is because I I care about a general gross trend, the gross trend, which is not precise, not specific. And that's the pattern that is here. It doesn't hit the damn lines. Nothing has to line up perfectly. And that's what counts. That's what is meaningful to me. And the reason you know you're still in the trend is because this isn't 10% lower. You don't have a lower low. This is a little bit higher than here. This is a little bit higher than here. And that just confirms the prevailing trend. This is a lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, higher low, higher low. That is a pinch. That is a symmetrical triangle. Staff says, thanks, Noah. It's a pleasure. Paul, okay, cool. Thanks for clarifying. My man, if you have any questions about it, ask it again. I am more than happy to say anything I've ever said another way 1,000 times over. We're here to understand. We're here to make the best decisions possible, and we can only do that by asking questions and never restraining ourselves. Believe me, my teachers found me really annoying. You could only imagine. What did I miss? Minucci, Snoochie, Boochie. you didn't miss nothing because those boys are going to keep printing. So what do I got up here? I got a couple of charts. I want to get back to the top 10. I want to talk about Polkadot. I want to talk about the big picture. I mean, WPM is one of the world's largest streamers, and they'll stream silver, gold, whatever they're streaming. But this is one of my larger, equities plays. I won't buy any of this garbage on the Nasdaq. It's garbage. I mean, literally, the technicals are. Oh, everything is. You can't even invest based on technicals because it's so overbought. Yeah, and there's no fundamentals. So, but the fundamental narrative for miners and streamers is that they are producing an asset that is decaying inflationary, just like Bitcoin, decaying inflationary. There's less supply over time as there's less to mine. And these people own that asset. They're creating supply of that asset, and therefore it's extremely profitable. These boys are about to rip a new higher high because you have a new higher low on the Stoke, which means there's nice pressure to rip into overbought territory, and they'll print a new higher high. And anyone that's the reason I brought them up is because people are betting put options on these boys, which is they're betting it's going to go down. Now, anyone buying a put option on WPM or gold, they got to be stupid. For the same reason well, frankly, anyone really, I don't know, buying NASDAQ stocks, I don't know. I don't want to say anything like that because probably the stupid thing is not buying that garbage. The moral thing is to avoid it. I can't buy it. I have no interest in buying anything on Nasdaq. It's just garbage to me because it's not representative of the companies. Now, bear in mind, I love me Tesla. I love the narrative, and I frankly have a fair amount of lithium, cobalt, graphite, and nickel miners. Um, and that was battery metals investing was my play for many years, and I love the Tesla narrative. I have a Tesla in the garage. I will never, ever, 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 ever buy a Tesla stock share at these prices. I won't be caught dead. I'd be embarrassed to buy a Tesla share at these prices. It's embarrassing. And I'm the biggest Tesla narrative bull you will ever find. So take that to the bank because I will say that as many times as anyone wants to hear it. I am the biggest Tesla bull you will ever find, and I'm embarrassed. There we go. All right, let's go to CoinGecko. Let's take a look at what's going on. Let's refresh this page. All right, so Polkadot over the weekend took out Bitcoin Cash, which is crazy, and it's coming up on Chainlink. So it's about 600 mil, give or take, 590 something, 87, I think. But no, it's not there yet. But what do I see? Generally speaking, macro observation, 5 and 6 are positioned to displace 3 and 4. There's absolutely no reason 3 shouldn't even be measured. It shouldn't even be measured. It's not useful. It's not meaningful with regard to the something that the top 100, the top 10 should really convey meaning. This is useless. It's like get this out of here. There's no point in this being here. And I don't know. This is like sleeping. So there's no point for being at the most for XRP to be one of the more meaningful assets right now. Sure, if all of a sudden the banks in the U.S. pick it up and it becomes meaningful, great. But right now it's not doing anything. So get out of here. Goodbye. Start doing something meaningful. And so, here's the thing with a lot of assets. I don't buy into hype. I want to buy into something that's actually doing something. That has a fundamental driving force, and the narrative is actually executing, and it has traction, and it's making progress. And one of the most incredible assets doing that right now is Polkadot. I mean, these projects are ready to rip, and these are all blockchains. And Polkadot is going to be providing consensus for these blockchains as well as interoperability between the other blockchains on the Polkadot network subscribed as parachains. Let's check the comments real quick. Did the sound just break up or was that a local problem? It was probably both. I see an error being displayed in my YouTube comments. Sorry, stuff. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Charlie, what's up, my man? Paul, for what it's worth, I'm seeing a Rend USD chart as a breakout from a long term. Do I have Ren up? I don't have Ren up. Let's see if my lines are preserved. I'll pull Ren up real quick. So Ren did not clip a new high. So no doubt, of course, I noticed the 24% rip this morning. Last I checked, it was up about 20, but clearly it's probably dropped a bit since then. But here, check this out. This is the first thing I see. Got to get some lines, horizontal line. Whoop. So let's see what happens. So clearly, it got rejected at the for hitting a new higher high. But let's see if it finds support here. That'd be cool. Because anytime you see a previous top, that's a resistance, resistance. So this, and here's resistance, and here's resistance. So there's probably about 4 hits of resistance here. If this hits, if this bounces here, that's a resistance flip support. And these are the types of things I look for. And then you have, frankly, a resistance flip support. You got a 200 EMA on the hour. That's more resistance, which is incline, which is pushing its way up. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that. A little bit of ranging between here until to the 200, maybe the 200 EMA will even get up to this orange line of resistance, and then you'll see a new higher high. That'll be a breakout. Now, this isn't necessarily something I would play because there's no real trend formation, but I do see clear resistances and supports. So that's definitely interesting. In any regard, I have my ultra long position. Everyone knows. Thoughts on Plasm Network? Plasm, I threw some Ethereum into a lock drop. Pellets. Pe- Pellets, yes. So yeah, the Plasm is smart contracts. So I got Plasm up here and Edgeware. Those are the two smart contract platforms with Polkadot parachains looking for slots. Edgeware is obviously already deployed, meaning it's already trading its assets. So it's quite appreciated. Now, if you could get Edgeware assets, that's a good pick. I can't own everything I want. It's at 100 mil. This is a perfect market cap for my taste. But so you need to know at least. So clearly, it's inflationary. You need to know how to. You need to be able to stake it. If you have an infinite supply, you have to participate in staking to offset the destruction of purchasing power, the destruction of value associated with the emissions, the staking emissions, which is inflationary. But clearly, 100 mil market cap, this thing's appreciation is going to overwhelmingly offset the inflationary devaluation. That's probably the best way to say it. So I really like this. Right now, my bet on the table is Bancor. I bet this is going to rip to the upside. This is a sim triangle, so I'm just waiting for this to play out. I currently don't have much Ethereum, which is a little bit counter, as I said, to the Ethereum and DeFi evangelists or maximalists. So I think whether you have Bitcoin or Ethereum, that should be the core position. At least that's probably where I'm leaning towards, crypto philosophically, so to speak. I don't think you need both, and I think Ethereum is probably best used as cash, a means of trading. Bancor, Kyber, Lend, Ren, so or whatever assets you want to, for the accumulation of more Ethereum. And as you get a critical mass of Ethereum, you siphon off to your value storage mechanism, which is Bitcoin. So you're accumulating Bitcoin because this thing has yet to rip. This is just when you start seeing this at $1,000 rips in an hour, 13, 14, 15, it's up to 18 and it's a Friday, it's at 22 and it's a Monday, it's at 28, it's on a Wednesday, and this thing starts ripping because that's what it's done and that's likely what it's going to do. There's such a supply, there's such a limited supply of Bitcoin. These you just it's to get it, you're going to have to pay such a premium. There's going to be such a spread on the centralized exchanges. Is going to be absolutely incredible. People are going to be climbing hand over fist for this asset, and when it's not moving is when you want to get as much of it as you can. And right now, this is the psychology of the market. Right now, all everyone sees is this DeFi shit moving. Here, let's give it a search. Now, UMA on Binance Chain. No, that's not on Binance. That's the other one. That's SPX. UMA is cool. Yearn, my God, incredible. That's good. That's just going to keep going. Just such a limited supply. Oh, it's already at 1.1 billion. That's absolutely incredible. Look at this. Look at this 24-hour gains. It looks wonderful. I wouldn't touch this. I don't trust it. I don't have time for that shit. I don't have time for adjustable supply assets. Reserve rights, great macro narrative. There's no reason it shouldn't appreciate over time. Ren, most bullish macro narrative probably in the entire crypto space, along with others. Polkadot, positioned to disrupt the top 10, be a systemic component of an entire financial system. What else? Mm, Ethereum. I don't even know what that's doing at number 10. What's going on in the chat? Thoughts on BZX? DeFi. DeFi. Get gains. Grow your Ethereum base. Take profits and put it into Bitcoin. Kate House, what's up, brother? Always a pleasure. Peter, never a stupid question. What do I recommend to trade on? 1inch Exchange, Uniswap, and Kyber Network. Use DeFi. But bear in mind, here, F gas station. Ethereum is extremely expensive right now. Oh my goodness. Okay, so you're probably not going to want to trade on DeFi right about now because this is going to be really expensive. So the unfortunate thing about DeFi is it's totally pricing out smaller trades. People throwing around 10, 15, 20 grand on a trade, they're still going to be able to use DeFi with relative ease. $100 on a trade, on a $20,000 trade, probably still going to do it on DeFi just to, because centralized exchanges are horrible and nobody wants to use them. If you can. So, but otherwise, yeah. As for centralized exchanges, the only thing I would ever use is Bittrex, Bitfinian, centralized Shapeshift. That's not as an exchange, that's a swap, but it's centralized. You use Shapeshift. Change Angel, which is non-custodial. Stuff like that. Bottom line. This is crazy. If you start playing around with 1inch and Uniswap, Uniswap's going to be cheaper than 1inch because it's only one contract. Uniswap's going to give you the best minimized slippage, but it's going to be multiple contracts, so it's going to be very expensive on gas. But it's going to give you the best transaction with the most minimal slippage, and that's the whole point. Anything coming up for Digibyte? Tino, Digibyte's cool. Digibyte, I went over the chart, guys. Digibyte looks solid from a chart perspective. Keep an eye for a breakdown. If you see it at 199, 200, that's definitely a breakdown. So if this thing took a dip to the downside of red support, that's a serious breakdown. And that's going to basically, guys, that'll be a breakdown from a very large symmetric triangle. What I'm looking for is a breakout, and it's going to have to break this previous high. So I'm not. This is a very interesting setup because I don't see why any of that's not possible. I mean, the macro narrative for Digibyte hasn't changed for years. It's entrenched. It'll exist in perpetuity, and that's all that matters. And there is no reason not to have a Digibyte position in your bag and forget about it. Set it and forget it. That's the way to do it, baby. CP says, hey, Noah, Jack Tripper here. Is there a person sit-down class 2 weeks for a cryptocurrency crash course? Not in particular, but this is the cryptocurrency crash course. Ask anything on your mind. I am more than happy to talk about any topic because I guarantee you, if you're going to ask it, someone else is thinking it. And I'm probably not thinking it because I've been doing this for years. So I am more than happy to answer any question that anyone has because that's how we're all going to be able to make the best decisions possible. And I guarantee you, if someone asks a question and it's something that I have to think about, that's going to make me either refresh an idea in my head or think about it from an important perspective that I may or may not have considered. So that means every question is meaningful. And that's the best way to grow. Ask questions and have someone answer them. So do not hesitate for a second, please. Can I ask your thoughts on Acro? Acro, I got a little position. Acro, they dabbled with substrate in their GitHub repos a couple of months back. So, in the Polka Project's website, Acro is listed. And I think Acro, is a DeFi play. Um, I wouldn't put a huge amount. I wouldn't have, position sizing wise, I wouldn't put what I'm putting into to Bancor. Um, Now, that's just a statement, but I like Acro. There's no reason not to have a small position. I think it could easily go. Let's take a look. Let's close out the stream in a couple minutes. But Acro, see, but here's the volatility out. For 4% rip to the downside, that's no fun. No fun to get hit with 4, 5, 10% losses. So when you're dealing with these small market cap assets, you're going to have that. And frankly, I've seen Acro really deviate from trend formation, like awkward trend formation deviations. And that just, but if something's going on, 16 mil trading volume on the 60 mil market cap asset, very interesting. So there's a lot of potential. This thing could easily go 10x, 5x, a quarter bill. No reason it can't be a quarter bill with what's going on. That's the way I value these assets. Big portion of value in crypto assets is the comps. Much like the real estate market, what are the comps? What are assets comparable in functionality and utility doing? And that's going to give you a relative market cap, a relative valuation from a market cap perspective. Then you could also talk about the other macro fundamental components that we always talk about on this channel, monetary properties, but clearly what's notable, clearly see a max supply. So that's actually pretty good to see. So that means there's a fixed supply, which also means they probably have a treasury and emissions. It looks like they're probably heading down the road of where Aave's heading down the road of this type of tokenomics. So when Len converts to Aave, there's going to be a 16 mil max supply with a circulating supply of 13 mil. And the 3 mil are going to be given as incentives, and it's going to be an emission, which is going to increase circulating supply, which is an inflationary pressure. But because there's a max supply, that emission is going to decrease over time, which is a decaying inflationary pressure, which is the same monetary pressure as gold, Bitcoin, Digibyte, and proof of work assets in most regards. Decaying inflationary, which is basically decaying inflationary is in some regards deflationary. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. With Acro, one needs patience. Yeah, but I don't want to say that with just a particular asset, Paul, because you could say that with all the speculative assets. Any 30 million, some of the boys, Little Moon Lambo and all the other DeFi boys, or rather the speculative boys going in on Uniswap assets, you could say all you need is patience. But no, because with the small cap assets, then you could be left holding a bag, which is basically what happened in 2017. Folks were left holding bags. Now, don't do that. Don't be left holding someone else's bag that they're dumping 100% gains on you. So this is why I really stick to the large cap assets nowadays. I don't want to get stuck holding something that's down 50% or 20% for a month that's kind of what happens in situations like this, a blow off top. And then you have to wait an entire month for the trend formation to play out. So you don't get stuck. You don't want to get stuck in positions like this. Now, I understand you don't, a lot of people are DCA, dollar cost averaging, and they don't want to trade. Now, I can't argue with that. But it also emotionally sucks to get stuck in a position like this, where this is a blow off top, and it's been lower high, lower high, lower high for 30 something days. And it was even worse with Kyber. I mean, this was 2 months. This is from July, June, July. And then we thought it was going to come back. I wouldn't be surprised if this makes its way up here, and then you got a handle on a cup, It's the inverse cup and handle type scenario, and then it should rip to the upside at some point. But this is a deflationary asset, an accelerating deflationary asset that over time will have less and less supply, increased supply disruption. So if you have fixed demand, that's how you could expect appreciation. Yeah, just mean the same way with Aave back in the day. Yeah, I would have never bought Aave at 2 cents, but then I would have never made 10,000% gains. So Aave was at 2 cents, and now it's run around at 80 cents. So there's merit to what you're saying. Um, I don't know. Maybe I should think about if you put $1,000 into Aave and you get 10,000% gains, you're turning it into $10,000. Nobody's going to put 100 grand at 2 cents. It's too much of an untested asset. So you're not, sure. I guess it all depends. $1,000 to $10,000 is nice gains. No one's going to argue that a 10 chip isn't going to make a big difference, but that's not going to change your life. And that's what I like to talk about on the stream a lot, is being realistic. How DeFi really is going to be 2, 3, 4, 8%, 10%, double digit yield is disrupting. It's going to destroy the legacy financial system. It's going to deprecate it, render it meaningless in comparison. But that's not life changing unless you're talking about 2 mil. You put 2 mil in at 5%, you're getting 100 grand a year. That sounds pretty damn close to work. But that's not this Yearn Finance pulling in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 800, 1,000% gains. That's not reasonable to be expected. Retire on $10,000 in the bank. That's not reasonable, and that's highly unsustainable and risky. And we are not here on this channel to exercise excessive risk. We want to minimize risk, maximize gains, focus on fundamentals, and choose assets that are going to grow and are going to be part of a real financial system that makes the legacy financial system deprecated and observable as for how pathetic it really is. And that's what we like to talk about. 12:44 on a Monday afternoon. It is always a pleasure. This is the best time of my day, which is why we frankly go over 15 minutes a day. So I thank you everyone for joining me on August 31st. Stick around. Come back tomorrow. We're going to have more to talk about. See you tomorrow. Peace.